Good morning and welcome to Cheche, the show where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. I'm your host, Udwaka Mimo. Now, the headlines from the past week have all painted a fairly grim picture of the country, whether it's Kenyans denied entry into illegally operated establishments on their own soil, a National Assembly turning on its leader, persistent allegations of corruption against members of that assembly, and now allegations of harassment and even rape. In politics, meanwhile, KANU, the former governing party, has been plotting its comeback. And we have today as our guest Nick Salat, the party's Secretary General. We also have in the studio with us our regular panel of Mutegin Jao and David Makali. Good morning, Nick. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
From your perspective as KANU, is there anything going right in the country?
I think what has actually prompted KANU to really take the early initiative to rebrand is to really step in where we are finding there is an opening for us to rebrand and in readiness for the next election, which is not too far away. And in the last election, which was KANU, we took part, but we were not prepared. So this time around, we're leaving nothing to chance. We are preparing early enough. To some people, they think we've started early, but 2017 is just around the corner. And I think there's an opportunity for those parties who will actually have a head start to really take advantage of the inconsistencies in terms of service delivery, in terms of the way things have been run. Even though we are part of Jubilee, as per our agreement, post-election agreement, we still are not, we are allowed to rebrand in readiness for 2017.
Which means KANU is not going to be in JAP?
As far as we're concerned, we're not folding. We're not killing KANU for anything. We're going to be there. And if need be, there is also the constitutional requirement where we could associate, but not to kill KANU.
Because Morade, the deputy leader of JAP, he was yesterday. Yeah. He said they have not completely set up the way to do it. Parties may not necessarily have to dissolve.
Initially, I think when they started, they came thinking that by them saying that those members who are members of Jubilee, as per the post-election agreements, should fold up and form one party. But we came out telling them very clearly that KANU will not die on our watch. No. So as we prepare, we're preparing as a party that we know the infrastructure we have across the country, and we hope come 2017 we will be a factor.
How strong is KANU now in terms of members of parliament, MCAs? How big is it?
We did not do very well in the last election. That's why we ended up getting 3 members of the Senate, and we got 8 members from the National Assembly, and we have 33 members from the county assemblies across the country. And it is not only in Rift Valley, but everywhere we have 1, 2. In total, we have 33 members from the county assemblies. And even after not preparing very well for the last election, we managed to get those. So imagine now if we start 2015, I think there's going to be a clear improvement on many fronts, both at the county assembly, at the National Assembly, and at the Senate.
You talked about inconsistencies in service delivery. What particularly aggrieves KANU in the way the government, Kenya, is being run?
We are concerned, especially when in North Rift and those areas that are currently having maize in their stores and not being bought by the government. We're concerned about the fertilizer. Sometimes the prices are high, and then the government notices that they did not go ahead and implement the reduced pricing of fertilizer. And then at one point they're being told, okay, we will refund you. You see, those are the inconsistencies that we find are getting people very unhappy about the maize with their cereals and all that. Yeah.
It is very interesting because the deputy president is from North Rift. The Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture is from Rift Valley. The man in charge of money, the treasury is from Rift Valley. Why should these things happen?
That is why we're saying we need the government to actually put money to...
But the government is in Rift Valley.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. For that, they have overlooked. For that, they have not lived up to what is expected of them. So we're saying, please don't people point fingers and saying you're from here, and yet the biggest sufferers for this lack of the government implementing their policies to buy maize for farmers.
But wouldn't the flip side of that be that you're suggesting that these people who come from this particular area should be paying attention to the concerns of that area before paying attention to the concerns of the rest of the country?
I'm saying the season for the it's actually a seasonal thing. If you means to buy, that means that season is lost. So we're saying this is the right time that they should have planned for. And in other areas also you'll go and their season for either getting fish is a different season, you never know. So what we're saying is in Rift Valley right now, the focus should be buy from the farmers instead of importing maize, because we're still hearing that there is importation of even maize from our neighboring countries. There is importation of many of the commodities that are in our stores and the government is not buying them. So we would really want a lasting solution, not one which is temporary and it's a reactionary. We want something that is going to last. And
it was very ironic the other day I saw on TV some lady screaming there, saying Afadhali Kibaki. Saying Kibaki should come back.
Right, David.
Let me ask you,
no, David, because I think you made the point before we came on air that this problem we see with maize has to do with corruption and not necessarily just poor planning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is it's inescapable. And sometimes when I hear, the deputy president talking about, and the government talking about wiping out corruption, yet in the case of the deputy president, for example, this is something that is like a worm in his own bread, right in Rift Valley, because the farmers there are unable to sell their maize to the National Cereals Board branches there, because people are importing maize, not actually importing, from outside the country, from Uganda and from other parts of the country, and going to take in the maize in silos in Eldoret, in Western Kenya, yet there is a glut of maize right there. It is not for anything else but corruption, because they organize to get paid much faster to get the maize into the silos at the expense of the farmers who are lining up there on lorries up to for days. And that has happened in Wasingishu, in Eldoret, in all the silos, I mean even in Kitale, maize from other parts of the country getting in through places where the government should be buying from locals.
And so how would you suggest the government fixes it, given that we hear that there's a drought, a very bad drought, and then we hear that in other parts of the country, the breadbasket of the country, there's a glut of food?
Well, I think the problem, first of all, with maize is the government allocates a certain amount of money for purchasing maize from farmers, so that there is a farmer and there is a guaranteed market for that produce when it's ready. And that's what has been happening over the years. But now the government is trying to say that don't depend on the government as the only buyer of your maize. Look elsewhere and buy, because once the government has bought its share of what it needs for the stock to stock up as food security, the rest is your business, as any other farmer, as any other person engaged in a commercial activity, and which is perhaps what Salat and the other members of parliament and policymakers ought to be looking into. Are there alternative markets for the maize? And are they competitive? Or then the farmers get swindled because they buy at low price, because that's what brokers and middlemen will do.
Have you done that?
I think that's why we're championing that in the next coming budget we need a vote specifically to go to Cereals Board to prepare them to buy from our own farmers. And that's what we are championing as KANU, because we are actually heeding the cries of the farmers who are saying nobody's listening to us, and we're reaching out to say, yes, we are working together in government. This is one of the things that you need to address by actually getting a specific votes.
It looks like your chairman, Gideon Moi, has taken this opportunity of the maize crisis to launch an attack on the deputy president. You know, the other day he said he's not fit to be a leader.
As a politician and as a leader of a party, I think the best is to always go back and listen to the people. And I think what he's doing, or what we're doing as a party, is to listen to what the people are crying. They're saying, is there anybody listening to us? And we're saying, yes, they will listen to us because we're in the same table. They sit together, and we want them to address it so that it's not something that every season, you'd find that we're just a crisis. We're responding to crisis instead of having a long-term solution to this problem, which has been there. So what KANU is doing is to say, yes, when we're sitting together, we need you to listen to the farmers. Maybe he has other many issues that are not being addressed or are not being brought before him. But this one particular one is very painful because all that the farmers have done will go to waste if nobody comes to their rescue. So we're asking the government, please, listen to the farmers' cry, come and help them, and purchase this produce of theirs, because it's about time they start preparing their lands now to plant for the next season.
Is there anything else that disturbs you about the way the state of the country at the moment?
Well, you cannot fail to mention the insecurity, but so far I think we've had a very quiet season from January, apart from the issues that are happening to the governor of Mandera. Very unfortunate, but
you're talking about the attacks. Governor Roba has come under.
Roba has come. There is about the third attempt on his life. So generally the insecurity.
But Baringo is still quite a trouble.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go to that particular Baringo. In fact, I was asked a while ago, what is KANU doing about Baringo? But the onus is on the government, the leadership of the day, to really ensure that they address the insecurity that's happening.
But you're also leaders.
That's what we're saying. We're leaders to point to fellow leaders that this is an issue that we need to address.
Let me ask you, are you, okay, what is the level of partnership between KANU and, or within, in KANU's participation in government as a member of the Jubilee Alliance? Do you sit, do you engage, do you meet, or you wait for an opportunity to say, okay, appoint somebody for us, then you send in a name, that's it?
That was actually, the agreement was we support them in the Senate, because without KANU, the Jubilee would not have a majority in the Senate. Yes. So the three senators we have actually make Jubilee to have a majority in the Senate. And also we agreed that our members at the National Assembly will be voting. That's why you have Cheche sitting as a
chair of the Privileges Committee.
Yes, and also he's also deputizing for the speaker. Yeah, and those are the kind of arrangement that we decided to have, and any appointments that may come. Although we've not received any appointments to date, but we agreed, and as KANU, we do not want to break our agreement with Jubilee. We will honor it to the very end, and we hope those areas that the Jubilee, as a unit which we belong, would improve, so that Kenyans can get their
getting into that partnership and the future and the plan for JAP. JAP has made it clear they are fielding President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2017, and William Ruto is the running mate. So what is left for you as KANU? You're aiming for governor and small positions, or what is at the table?
The most important thing for us right now is to put the infrastructure in place, because there are stages that you go through before you start saying you're going to contest the presidency. And for now, the infrastructure is more important, because for one, as the constitutional requirement, you need 24 counties to endorse you. We need to reach out to those elements of the constitution, which is not easy for anybody. It's not easy for anybody. Yeah. And the more we revamp, the more harder it gets for others also. So we're looking at it in that way.
So revamping from what to what?
Revamping from where we are, from having 7 members of parliament to preparing to have people who will be seeking for elected positions, maybe to about 80%.
That's claiming more territory, because initially you told us you're rebranding.
Rebranding, yes.
And so I'm curious about what you're rebranding from and to. Will you still have the Jogo? Will your color still be red? Will you still be the founding party? What are you rebranding from?
At the moment, we're actually receiving all suggestions on the areas that we need to address. That's why we've started at this particular alley, because we want to address the issues of the youth. We want them to take their rightful place in the party. We want the women, because we'll be holding a very big meeting for the women in Nairobi, I think after Easter, which we will have a gathering of about 1,000 reps from across the country. And then also we want to have a youth conference, which is, we do understand the role that the youth are playing, which they constitute almost 60% of the voting bloc. So we want to have them take center stage in how we run our party. So rebranding means we bring in new faces, we bring in new ideas, and we will not change the one finger salute. No, that one is here to stay. We will not
so
change.
In fact, it's not rebranding; it's the revamping. Revamping you're trying to do, because you're not changing.
Let's see what's not changing. The one finger salute is not changing. What else is not changing?
What is not changing? The colors. But we may change our attire. That's what we plan to change the attire. And at the early stages, we're still listening and welcoming suggestions from those who are coming on board.
Mutagi, do you have any suggestions for them, seeing as you've seen many governments come and go?
There is no place where there's no KANU in this country. KANU, I think, is in terms of infrastructure. KANU is widespread throughout every corner of Kenya. And there's, of course, people who switched from KANU to other parties, and they took the office with them. Otherwise, KANU is very well...
I don't think KANU still exists. Mutagi this is theoretical. Which part? If you go to Nyanza, where is KANU there? People took off and went to the local popular party, which was ODM there.
I can assure you, come 2017, I'll come back to sit here and you will see the different KANU that we're talking about.
Actually, some of our viewers are texting that you'll be their next senator. Does that aspiration?
I think they decided that a while ago, only that.
They're now making it clear.
No, they're making it clear, because I'm still in court, actually. The only case that is still being is still in court. I think
of course, this was the challenge from the last election, 2013, because you ran for Senate.
I ran for Senate, and I thank them for consistently assuring and telling us that I'm the person they would.
So this case, you are hoping you might succeed and then yield in a by-election, perhaps?
I'm looking for justice, because for me, what was done to me and what was done in that election was really unjust. So I am actually at the Supreme Court, which is something that I think after Easter our case will be
determined.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, if you look at what has been going in the past couple of weeks with the row in Rift Valley.
Okay, let's take a break and come. Yeah, let's take a break and then come back to that, because that needs time and attention. You're watching Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. Our guest today is Nick Salat, the Secretary General for KANU. Do send in your questions, thoughts, opinions for him. Our SMS number is 22422. You can tweet us at the handle @Cheche_TV.